go ahead and call the budget committee meeting to order. We do have a set of minutes.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Is there any comments or concerns? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any public comment?
I'll seize the time if you don't mind. Mayor, we talked this morning about Rule 39, if you had a chance to read that rule again.
I have.
And are you still of the same opinion?
Um,
'Cause this morning you told me, or last night you told me that Rule 39 only applied to the county commission, not the committee meetings. If I'm not mistaken, that's what you told me.
yeah, I think it applies to both.
I agree with that. And
Yeah.
So, the end of Rule 39 has, language that was old. Says, I may look over your shoulder here.
Sure, go ahead.
So, relay the agenda information of the office of Whatcom County Mayor in such a manner to allow compliance with Resolution 0984. So that's a little more, it's a little more time than the law requires, but I mean, I'm hoping we can come to a resolution of this soon. You got any plans to do anything to fix it?
Well, me and you've talked many times on this, and I guess I can address it during the public comment period here. Rule 39 states, and we went back and pulled the resolution and also the memo that was sent out by Carol Knight, which is long before, you know, Carol Knight. I'm
I
sure.
know, Carolyn.
So what this 39 said was that the chairmans that that call the meeting were to send that to us in the office, and we were to put it on the website. And we're doing that. That's not a problem. That's been happening. And the issue that you have is that it's not detailed. And me and you met several months ago, and we talked about this. And with that, I had Sarah pull up the last 4 or 5 months of these agendas, and they have increased because you addressed it in our committee meeting and said, hey, look, Chris is right, we need to be more detailed in that agenda. And they have been more detailed. If you take these 4 months and go back previously, it's more detailed. Is it perfect? No. But when you said to me this morning, I've been talking about this 8 months, you ain't done anything about it, that's not true, because we have. Now, to address your problem, we talked about this other day too, you would like to see us do some CTAS training on this, and we got that in the works for all of our commissioners. But I also told you I was gonna write a letter to our department heads and elected officials. Because the real problem, which I thought you were telling me on Rule 39, was it was my responsibility to make sure that Jeff Luttrell had everything on his agenda before it came to the meeting. And I never see it. We never get it. So the rule is this: when Jeff wants a committee meeting, he calls Wendell Marlowe and he gives him an agenda. So it's Jeff's job to make sure that whatever we're going to talk about that night is on that agenda, not Wendell's. Wendell just gets it, calls Sandra, she schedules the meeting. Sandra, instead of coming to me, like this rule says, he goes to Sandra, she schedules the meeting, she puts it in the paper, and does the public notice, and then she sends it and notifies all the commissioners, and then she sends it to us. And then our girls put it on the website to comply with Rule 39. The problem really is this, is that when you send that agenda in, it needs to have everything on there that we're gonna talk about that night, unless something rare comes up. If it's not on there, then I'm gonna send you an email that's gonna say, hey, make sure that when he sends it to you, that you ask him, hey, this is everything we're gonna talk about. So you've done your job. And then if something comes up during that meeting that's not on that agenda, according to the law, we're not supposed to hear it that night. Is that correct?
Unless it's an emergency.
Unless it's
And
an emergency.
he can get you through that when you have those emergencies. He's got the ability
And he-
to handle that and get you done.
He did that this morning. So I think that addresses everything that you've asked me to do.
I just wanted to hear it out loud.
Thank you.
Have a great day.
Aaron, fund balance stuff?
Yeah, it's fund balance report. Obviously with the holidays, we have not had a chance to complete the closing of the books for December. We will have that on your desk night of the commission meeting. There is a fund balance report in your packet. And then we can go on into budget amendments. if
Yes,
you
sir.
want. Before we do the actual budget amendment, I'm gonna ask Stacy if she can to talk about the two employees that she has been to the judicial committee to move these people up in steps. I'll give you my understanding, but hers is gonna be much more thorough. One of them is a person that, with quite a bit of prior experience in law enforcement. However, he came on part-time, and was, put in a step, based on, his part-time. And now he's going full-time. And so they moved him up steps because that's what they needed to do to get him to come on board full-time. And, as I say, Stacy will talk more about that, and then there's another one that's been moved. The reason we're doing that, and if you'll pass that down, please, there's probably too many of them, we'll pass a few of them the other way. But section 14, I'm gonna read section 14 real quick. Basically, it says, "A pay plan enacted with this budget sets the compensation by title and job description for every employee who has not been attached to the elected official schedule by resolution of the county commission, or as an employee of the highway department, or is employed under a letter of agreement. Also exempted are salary supplements from the state of Tennessee, uniform allowances, et cetera. Any pay over and above the total annual pay in the pay plan, without regard to the items listed above, is prohibited unless approved by the budget committee and/or county commission. Budget committee approval is required when sufficient funds are available in the department's payroll lines to cover the additional pay requested. Budget committee and county commission approval are required when there are not sufficient funds in the department's payroll lines." So this is a case of somebody mid-year moving somebody up in scale in the pay plan. It was already in the pay plan. And it does require budget committee approval based on section 14 of the appropriations resolution. So that's why we're bringing it to you. But I will gladly let Stacy speak if you will come forward.
Sure. We had a full-time employee that was under the direction of Lisa Copa-Jerome, and there was conflict, and he left, and he got a better job. Not a better job, but he got a job paying more money. So he came back to his part-time. I've been pushing him to go full-time. He wanted a lot more money, and we settled on a little bit more money. But that does move him up in 4 steps. And if I moved him up the 4 steps, I have another full-time employee that I felt like I had to be fair to her to move her as well. So I have the money in the budget, it's in my part-time line that we will not use this year. And I'm asking that that $12,000 be moved to my full-time line so that, well, he has already came to work for us full-time. But I am asking for that because that's what we need to keep him happy.
The budget amendment is in the packet along with behind the budget amendment, the half sheets for the 2 employees in question.
In addition, that would make the full-times fully staffed. Fully
Yes.
staffed,
We're fully
which is
staffed.
very important for that office, since it's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
No snow days.
Yeah, you come to work regardless. Come to work regardless, and that would make us fully staffed full-time. And we have 1 part-time opening.
That's correct. 1 part-time opening, and that's because we had part-time filled, and he's moved up, so his position is now open in part-time.
This will get you through the end of the year.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, absolutely will. And I hope not to have to come back in front of you for anything else.
And it does come from the part-time line,
Yes, it's in the budget, it's just on my
Yeah.
part-time line is
so
heavy.
it doesn't require any more money.
Doesn't require any
Totally
more money.
from the budget.
Yeah, sure. Only requires approval of the committee.
Correct.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any
Before you
discussion?
vote, let me just do a technicality here so you're aware of it. Judicial committee approved this the other night, but we approved 12,000. This is 12,405. I don't think that makes any difference to you unless it does.
We first figured it was 10,786. I asked for a little bit more to cover, but we refigured it. and the second figure came back at 12,405 exactly.
Yeah, I'm not questioning figures, I'm just saying the judicial committee's action was to approve 12,000. So y'all wanna approve 405 more, that's fine, but I just wanted you to know that.
Are these the individuals that we voted on at the last commission meeting?
Correct.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Any other questions or comments?
Comment. I was contacted by another commissioner about this and kind of shed some light onto it. I know that we are currently in the middle of a pay study and a pay plan. We're trying to get that right. I know that we've always kind of told everybody like, hey, let's not do this right in the middle of a budget. Bring it to bring it to us at budget time on your needs. And I think the commissioner's not here to speak on it, so I told them that I'd bring it up and talk about it, that the concern is that we are gonna set a precedent. If you're not happy or you're not satisfied, then we're just gonna go ahead and either threaten to leave or to see about trying to make more money. And I get it, I do understand that. But if we do it for one department, what if it's another department that wants to come and try this? And that's something that I wanna kind of steer away from, is that if we do it for one department, then what happens if everybody else trickles in and wants to do the same thing?
I didn't write the budget
Even though if it's
last year.
within your budget, but it's still.
I came in a little later after
Sure.
the budget was made. And this person was full-time with another company making more money.
Mhm.
So that's his primary source of income that provides for his family.
Right.
He couldn't leave that job and come to what we paid him part-time. He's worth that much money to me. It's in my head, the $12,000 is not a lot of money because I have it in the budget.
Mhm.
I'm just trying to move it. And it's not that I want to come halfway through the budget and change anybody, but to get him and to get us fully staffed, he's a good employee, he was a good part-time employee. And I hope you approve it so everybody's happy and done. I'm not trying to move anybody else or do anything else. I just want to do what's fair, and I think this is fair.
I understand, and you're doing your job, and I know that we're here to do our job, and also, make sure that we're doing this correctly and fairly.
Absolutely.
I just don't want to set the precedent of if we do it for one, we're gonna have to turn around and do it for others. And let me say, I've pulled an open records request just recently of everybody's pay.
Sure.
I know what everybody's making. I know the people that's been here for many years that's making less than people that's been here less years. It's just, you got some people that's been here 4 years that's making more than people that's been here for 12 in many departments. You have family members that are here that, unfortunately, if you want to know, look at it, pull it. So I don't want to get into the practice of us just because someone's not happy. And I get it.
No, it's not that, he just wouldn't have came full-time if I couldn't have got him the money, or I didn't have it in my budget to pay him that. He would still be part-time, and then I would have a full-time opening. We had Jenny White that got voted in recently, full-time, and she had a horrible family problem that she had to resign immediately. And that's what opened up that full-time, and that's when I was pushing him, we really need you, we'd really love for you to come back full-time. And he talked to his wife, and we went back and forth on numbers, and we settled on what we have.
Sure.
It's, and that would bring all the full-time people except for one on a level playing field. The one being, he hasn't been there for a year at all, and he doesn't have any prior law enforcement experience or legal knowledge.
Any other comments from the committee or questions? Okay, we do have a motion and a second to approve. All in favor say aye. Any opposed?
No.
Thank you.
Thank y'all, thank you very much.
Next one is Sheriff Department. Lance is here if you guys have any questions for him, but basically they're asking for some funds for overtime for the jail. Again, they got some staffing shortages back there that's causing more overtime to be worked.
Motion.
Second.
Okay, we'll have a motion and a second. Any comments or questions? All in favor say aye. Any opposed?
Next one is, related to the No Vet Left Behind program. This is a work in progress. You guys may see this 2 or 3 times this year. We have not been over this program very long, so we're learning as we go in terms of what we need to set up budget-wise to run this thing. But basically, we're requesting $15,000 out of their reserve, to fund expenditures related to the program.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Questions or comments? All in favor say aye. Any opposed?
Brian, do you want to discuss this?
If I can.
Further?
So the state of Tennessee, this has been a project that's been going on for probably about 3 years. They're wanting to fund radios, for every ambulance across the state of Tennessee and every primary dispatch center across the state of Tennessee. That way, if we go to Gatlinburg, we can talk in Gatlinburg back to here or anywhere in the state of Tennessee. It's the same system that all the state system is on. So the amount of money that's projected there, they will dump that into Edison, but Aaron can speak on this. You gotta set it up on a county level to be able to, for them to put that money in there for us. So that $196,718 buys radios for all of our ambulances and our primary dispatch center, install, and a 5-year guarantee for any related issues, warranty in that time frame, and it's paid for by the state.
What system is that?
It's on the TACAN system.
800 meg?
Well, it's a tri-band radio. It'll talk on anything. So if we go to Sumner County, they're on UHF, we can talk to them. And if we go to, any other counties on VHF or the 800 system, we can just swap over to anybody in the state of Tennessee and talk to them.
So the repeaters.
Yes, sir. The statewide system.
So it's digital,
Okay.
right? Full digital.
Does
Yes,
this also apply to the cities? Did they get it also?
If they run an ambulance service, yes.
Okay,
Any licensed ambulance service in the state of Tennessee is getting the radios.
okay, great.
Travis, too.
Yes, to my knowledge, that's correct. They're a licensed ambulance service. And the hospitals as well.
What Sharp radio system is it?
Any other questions or comments?
Motion approved.
Second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Any opposed?
Next thing we have is a copier lease for the clerk and master.
Excuse me. I did not say, when I was talking to everybody, that I would like for the change to be effective January 1. That's what I actually submitted before. And so I did not get the approval for that, so I just need to know when that money, will they get paid January 1 at that new rate? Or are we gonna start today, or?
We got half ones, I believe
I'm
those
sorry.
half ones were dated 12/17, and we wouldn't process them because it hadn't been through the process. So it's okay with me, if it's okay with everybody else, to retro it back to that date. But it just
To
had to be
January
approved by
1.
this committee.
January 1.
January 1.
Lease agreement? Or do you wanna?
I'm assuming by the no response, that's an approval.
Yeah.
Sounds like you've already taken care of it.
Yeah.
I haven't done it.
Okay. We need to make a motion.
Yeah, because I haven't done it.
Is there a motion to start this January 1?
So moved. Second.
A motion and a second. Any other comments? All in favor say aye. Any opposed?
Thank you so much, I'm sorry I had to come back.
It's okay, good you did.
Lease agreement, I'm sorry, for the clerk and master.
Let's make cards, okay.
Motion by Curtis.
Okay.
Do we have a motion to approve?
Good. Motion.
Motion to approve. You don't wait no.
Just give it a second.
Just know what you're getting.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
Kurt's coming in for me.
It's New Year.
I don't know if I can just condense
Surplus.
22 more.
Surplus, two lists there, one for the circuit court clerk and one for the mayor's office. Mike, I don't know if they can be approved all together.
They can't, if you want to.
The circuit court is surplus, destroyed, it's like it's a broken vest.
Who broke the bills?
Might have a bit.
It was in Denver's.
Yeah, so I'd say.
Okay, is there a motion to approve the surplus list?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, this is for both of them, right?
Yes.
Okay, any questions or concerns? All in favor say aye. Any opposed?
Let's go ahead and skip down to the school board budget amendments and get those done before we do the discussions. Ready to run?
Lisa?
First section of our high cost money we received in addition to what we had budgeted, so we're adding that in, against contracted private agencies. The other that came in separate is transportation for high cost, showing that as revenue against the expenditure line item. Next one is insurance recovery. This is claims that we've received on our insurance, going against the line item expenditures that help pay for those. Next one, our academic department asked just for us to move those line items around. Next one, we have positions that haven't been filled with our Fed department, so we're reallocating that money to pay with contracts with private agencies to contract that out. Next one's donations that we've received and that have been given to Family Resource Center from July through December, reporting that revenue against the expenditure line item. And then the last is voluntary pre-K. We had unfilled positions, so we were having to sub those positions out. So we're increasing our sub line items and reducing the teacher line item.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any comments or questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right.
Two general discussion items, and there's actually supposed to be a third. So on the night when we're in trouble for agenda, I will say I left something off the agenda. The third being discussion of 5 employees that we did last time on the elected officials schedule. So that's some information that y'all asked the mayor to come back with on that. But I'm not sure who is supposed to discuss these, but I have here a discussion of the Watertown Rail Park turntable. You got that?
Yeah, I'll take the lead on that and tell you what we're thinking and what we're hoping for. We began the process several years ago of trying to get funding for this rail park. You'll hear it referred to as the turntable. That is obviously the centerpiece of the project, but there's also some other things that go with it. And we started this process. Steve Smart is here with us. Dr. Smart is our grant writer and has done a wonderful job for us. Jerry McFarland's been very active in this, John Jewell and several others. We looked everywhere for grants. I mean, everywhere. We even went to the state finance office, the commissioner, sat down with him on a Friday and spent about an hour and a half with him. When we came out, was hopeful, but we did not get any state funding. We applied for what's called a CRISI grant, C-R-I-S-I. Don't have you, I can't quote you what that stands for, but in our eyes, it stood for money. So we applied the first time. $2.4 million. We were not successful. I should say also somebody that's been very instrumental in helping us is Jeff Jones, former commissioner here, and Jeff has been very instrumental in helping us. So we applied for the grant the first time. We were not successful, but the folks up there did grant us an audience for an hour with some pretty high up people. And they talked to us about how we missed on our grant, and they kept saying it was close, and you know how that is, you kind of listen to it and say, well, that sounds good. But then they started telling us what to do to make it better. So we took that to heart. Steve prepared the grant. It had to be done very quickly. There was a quick turnaround time I don't think it surprised anybody to know, because there was an election, they were trying to get that done. So it was a very quick turnaround time. We had to, apply, we applied on a 67-33 basis. $2.4 million project, we applied for $1.6 million with a match of $800,000. We, got the grant. We were successful, one of 121 across the country. Now, when you stop and think about that, they brought one to Watertown when they were dealing with everything from California to Maine to Florida to Arizona. So we got that. I will tell you that on the matching grant part, we have a private commitment from a gentleman who has pledged $300,000, and he has since upped that to $314,000. We believe we're gonna need about $600,000 more. Not here to ask you tonight for it, but we are here to ask you to include it in the budget process next year, if you would. And our request, and guys, y'all, Steve and Jerry, y'all correct me? Jerry's still here, yeah. Y'all correct me, our request is gonna be $300,000. That will put county skin in the game, Watertown will put skin in the game as well. We also have some other private, less, rich folks, for lack of a better term, that we believe will kick in some smaller amounts of money. But the two big pieces we need right now are from the county and the city. So, what I'm here to ask you for tonight is just to include us in the budget process next year. We view this as a benefit to the entire county. The publicity is that this big steam engine that sat in Centennial Park for years, that the pigeons used for a home, was taken by the Nashville Steam people about 5 years ago. They moved that from Centennial Park to their garage over on the river in East Nashville, and they've been working on that ever since, and they say they're about 18 months away from it being ready to roll. It will leave there and come to Watertown, get on the turntable, and which in itself will be an event to see, I'm told. Never seen one, obviously, but it will get on there, it will be turned around and sent back to Nashville. There is a tremendous amount of interest in this. I've already had enough people say, I wanna be on the first trip, that this train's gonna be longer than anything that's ever come through Watertown. If we could put everybody on there, and I'm talking, now, when we got this grant, on December the 10th, the people that awarded the grant, the major, the guy that made, Amit Bose, and the Southeastern Regional Coordinator came to Watertown and spoke at our gathering there. So they were serious about it. They want to see it happen. We want to see it happen. We think it'll be a tourism boom for the county. And it's got to come through Mount Juliet. It's got to come through Lebanon. It's an entire county project. We can see it stopping on the side of the road at Mount Juliet down there, stopping at the siding. School kids being able to see this thing. It is a big, probably bigger than any engine any of us has seen, with the exception of maybe Jerry McFarland, who has some history with these things. And it has the potential to bring some tourism dollars into this county, and being perfectly up front, some tourism dollars into the city of Watertown. So we hope to be able to bid this thing. It'll take a little while to get it together, but we need that money to dovetail with when we award the bid so we can start the process. So our ask is gonna be in the 25-26 budget for $300,000 from you. And, you know, I know we talk about all kinds of different funds and stuff. We don't care what fund it comes out of, as long
Long as it's green.
as it's got those zeros on it, that we need on that check.
I can address that.
Absolutely.
I have a question. Are the cities gonna be involved too? Mount Juliet 11?
I don't know about Mount Juliet 11, the Watertown certainly will.
I mean, are they gonna contribute money?
I don't know about that, Mr. Chairman. We've not approached, I've not approached it.
Mr. Chairman, let me address a few things here. This is not a first-time event at all. In 1871, Wilson County and Davis County each contributed $300,000 to build the railroads from National 11 because of marketing of cattle and hogs and butter of all things, and of course wool. So this county court actually, and I didn't know this county had $300,000 back then. Secondly, the road was extended in 1877 past here into Watertown and east. And the groundbreaking of that ceremony, and we put money in that also, the county did. That the groundbreaking of that ceremony took place in Watertown, of all places. Thirdly,
Don't say
yeah,
that now.
watch out.
Don't say that.
And thirdly, and I'm talking to the county historian, thirdly,
okay.
thirdly, this county commission in 1999 appropriated $315,000 to supplement some railroad projects in Watertown, but decided if a future museum. Now, I'm gonna take my historian hat off and put my National Team Preservation hat on. I am the only person in Wilson County on the board of directors of National Team Preservation. We have a great opportunity to bring more tourism, bring more notoriety to Wilson County than anything else we could ever do. This engine is a J3. It's the largest. I tell everybody it's the largest engine in the free world. I keep being told by some of the experts that I don't know what I'm talking about, but I've been on the internet and I can't find one any bigger. It's 3-story tall, 600 tons, 600,000 pounds, and 110 feet long. It can't go backwards. It can go backwards. It physically don't go backwards, but the Nashville Eastern Railroad you have, it has a cab car on one end and an engine on the other end, so they can control it from either end. This engine you can't control that way. So the engine physically has to be turned around, run around the side, switch stands, and attached to the other end of the train to go in the opposite direction. So it's necessary for this part of our tourism project to have the rail yard / turntable in Watertown. It is there now. We simply need to get it installed. So, with that said, it's essential. Those that don't know it, John Cody is building the Gibson here in Lebanon. It's on the railroad siding here in town. Some have been to see it. It's not open to the public. It's kind of kept secret. There's also an event center on the rail in Mount Juliet. And the thinking of the board is, I'm the only one here on the board, is how often we're gonna run this thing, what's the demand? Right now, the demand is probably every weekend during the spring and summer months. But, it can bring a tremendous amount of conference, people coming to Nashville on an excursion to Watertown, through Lebanon, through Mount Juliet. As a commissioner and as a county historian and as a member of the board member, I ask you guys to look favorably upon $300,000 next year's budget. Thank you.
Let me mention the turntable, how we got it. I don't know, maybe individually I've mentioned it, not in a meeting. We got word, whenever the Super Bowl was in Atlanta, 2 weeks before they were gonna have the Super Bowl, they were trying to clear out some space down there to have some parties, for lack of a better term. And they had this old turntable and they were gonna scrap it. And we got word through somebody with Steam Preservation, I believe, Jerry.
Correct.
And, they said, you can have it, we'll give it to you. So well, that sounds great, we appreciate that. All you gotta do is raise the money to move it up there. $65,000 that we had to raise in about 10 days. I didn't think it was possible. That money came in. It came in, didn't involve any county money, precious little city money, but we had some donors that wanted to see this happen. So we raised $65,000 and that thing was a sight. Of course, it had to be brought in pieces. But the big actual base for it, as Jerry said,
110 feet.
110 feet, when they brought that up Highway 70 and tried to back that around to get it into the park there, was pretty much an all-morning job. It was cold and rainy, but we had a lot of people stand out just to watch that. So, we got it. and we raised 65,000. 2.4 million was a little more challenging. And frankly, if we hadn't gotten this federal grant, we'd still be looking, but we'd be a lot more pessimistic. So I hope you'll look on this favorably. Dr. Smart is here. I can't sing his praises enough, and he keeps talking about, you know, when we get this done, he'll ease out. Nah, he doesn't understand Watertown. We get somebody to work with, keep him.
I think what we're asking for is a commitment that this be in next year's budget.
Yep.
Don't play-
But no money. Look, you know, if y'all won't vote to do it tonight, that's all right too. But we didn't come prepared to answer.
Yes,
I
sir.
did.
Our historian left one contribution out. 2004, the county commission donated $330,000 to rebuild the railroad tracks for the commuter rail project.
All part of the county?
All part of the county.
Yeah, that's true,
It is true, because
that's true.
I was tasked to go find 13 votes, which was
You got
a very steep wall.
Forgot about it. Well, the commuter doesn't come to what?
Good.
No.
So that's
They go
actually
all Watertown, but
four
got-
previous times that we've supported railroad.
So if you have questions, Dr. Smart, much more knowledgeable. I've just hit the high spots and
I'd really like to ask if we get a commitment tonight so we can go forward with asking for other monies that the county gives is going to make the commitment for.
I have a question on the
In
weight,
next year's budget.
that weight of the engine. Does the existing track, will that sustain that weight of that engine?
It will.
And the bridges that goes over,
The bridges beyond Watertown will not, they're being upgraded up with our FRA, but.
but the bridges,
Yeah, we're good.
compared to,
We're
Yes,
good,
you are
yes,
good, right?
correct, correct.
now who, does somebody certify that, or is that, how do you certify that?
The railroad people did, you wanna address it or not?
My limited understanding is that it relates to speed restrictions.
Yeah.
It might not accommodate at 25 miles an hour, but it could at 15.
Okay,
And I'm sure there are brighter people that know how to calculate that.
well, I'm just wondering if that's been done and how do you get it certified and how do you document that?
FRA will do that.
Yes.
Mr. John, I don't know this, but I feel fairly certain that they wouldn't have considered the grant if they didn't think we could bring it out there.
Well, I agree.
FRA people. So,
Is there a motion concerning this at this point in time?
I'm thinking, correct me if I'm wrong, I think all we can really do at this point in time is put it in the 2026 budget file, and put on the needs list. So that we really can't do any consider.
So
to consider.
a motion forward to put it on the needs list?
Or for consideration.
Okay, we'll just do that. We'll just do that. It'll be on the needs list.
I'll make that motion, put it on the needs.
Okay, there's a motion to put 300,000 on the needs list.
Second.
And there's a second. Any other comments or questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right.
thank y'all. I hope that, we can conclude this project. And, I'm confident we will. I want it done quicker than it is feasible. And y'all understand that when you're dealing with government money.
Mr. Chairman,
You gotta jump through.
I'm selling tickets on the first train ride if anybody.
Okay, public buildings.
Yeah, I'm gonna let, LeBronya and Mike talk about this mostly, but I understand we got contacted from the state asking us about a public building authority that I guess is a holdover from a while back.
Yeah,
And they-
schools or something.
And they said basically, we either have to shut it down or they have to audit it. If they audit it, we have to pay for it.
Nothing on it.
Nothing to audit. But that's,
They've been told that too,
Oh, okay,
but they still insist.
okay, then, we're gonna
So
dissolve it.
what we need to do is
What?
Vote for LeBron and I to take the action to dissolve it. This was that, y'all will remember the history of this. I don't think LeBron was here to know
She
it.
wasn't born yet.
Yeah, she wasn't born yet, that's true. But we used that when we built Wilson Central.
Yeah.
And then we used it 2 or 3 more times over the next 10 years or so. And then we quit using it. We could have created our own. Rutherford County had one and Sevier County had one, and we didn't want to use either one of those. The county commission didn't, so we created our own and used it.
And if you ever need to do it again, you can create another one.
You can, you can, but I don't know of any reason
No.
that we need it now, do you?
So what is it? Is it a line or is it? What do we need to dissolve?
The building
Public
authority.
It's a
building
corporation,
authority.
public building authority.
Is there a motion to do so?
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any questions concerning this? comments? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
And the last thing I got is what I mentioned earlier, I think Mayor, you have.
I will say that me and Commissioner McFarland, I think, we went to see Mayor Cooper, Mayor O'Connell, yeah, my bad.
You're behind.
And ask him for another, for 300,000 for this too, because we know this is a big deal for Nashville for the steam engine, so he's considering contributing that as well, so, for the steam engine.
County needs a hotel now.
Yeah, we can do something with it.
Last month, it came up about, I think the conversation was that the landfill director had asked about why that, they didn't get a 3% bonus. Aaron addressed that to the fact of saying, well, those people that are on our pay plan that are on there, getting, the state raises like the elected officials do, and there's a few of those out there, didn't get that because what the resolution stated was any employee that were not an elected official getting a state raise some other way, didn't get the 3%. She sent you guys a letter, we had some discussion about that, and then you guys said, well, how do these people get on there anyway of getting the, on the state raise part? So I looked it up, TCA 8-24-102 establishes the minimum compensation for the property assessor, the county clerks, the clerk of court, the trustee, the register of deeds, the county mayors, the sheriffs, and the highway officials. So what it simply says, this law provides an automatic increase for those people in the minimum salary each year based on the percentage of increase given to the state employees for the previous year. So that's how they get theirs. So they took that law, and what I think happened, if you go back and look at the history, we gave a lot of benefits away in the past, but not a lot of pay. So when they decided, hey, look, for our people that maybe were second in command or not to get a better raise, they linked those people with the state officials. And so I did have to thank Aaron Maynard, Sarah Davenport, Lauren Breeze, I'll leave it out somebody. For helping me come, and Miss Linda Branstaff helping me come up with this, but, so what you have, I have a resolution in here. The first one you passed was a resolution where you, when Mike was always getting renewed in February, they would come up about his pay. And so you passed a resolution because if you establish his pay as a 2 or 3% increase, it was kind of locking you guys into giving the employees, in June or July, 2 or 3%, you may or may not have that. So y'all said, hey, look, we're gonna hire the county attorney, reinstate him, and then if you give anything to the county employees, give the same thing to Mike. And then later on, you passed a resolution that 18-3-1, which is in 2018, you linked him to the state officials' increased pay, the elected officials' increased pay. So you have, so I have two resolutions, so I actually have a resolution on both of his. So then, so he's one of the people that is not established by law, that you establish by resolution. The second one I have is the creation of the assistant road superintendent. And back in that day, passed by the road commission, they passed the Wilson County Assistant Road Superintendent. The position was created in 1984, and it goes on to say a few things about that, but it says is compensated in the same manner as a superintendent at the annual rate determined by the road commission. So therefore, he was linked to, at the time it was Steve Lynch, to say whatever Steve Armstead gets, he gets. And so the road commission passed that. So that led on kind of a chain reaction to where other people said, like the assistant chief at the time at the sheriff's office, Bill Arnold at the landfill, which is the director of the landfill, and the assistant finance director, did say to link those people in there. And I know the first two are for sure. So anyway, we started looking for what about those, and so we found a document here back, most of this happened back around 2006, we think. So we found one here where they did a budget amendment that said, for the deputies, it's talking about all the deputies, but adjust the chief deputy to comply with the resolution, making the salary of the assistant road superintendent, the solid waste director, and the chief deputy to be the same. So we know there's a resolution there that states that according to this document right here, but we haven't found that document yet. So if you send me back to work, we spent a lot of time this last month, we'll go back and try to find that document. But I have that one that states that. I also have a document here that on the 2007, 2008 document that talks about where these people got their official salary raises. It's got Sharon Lackey on here, Steve Lynch, and Bill Arnold. So I know that's been happening too, for that time. The landfill director talks a little bit about that in that particular one there. And then the finance director is the other one, and that one was done by Janice Branchard, I think, at the time.
For Janice.
For Janice at the time. Beginning July 1, 2006, annual compensation of the director is $78,000. The director will receive the same percentage increase given by the state to elected officials of Wilson County. So that one established the finance director. So when you look at those, this has been going on hadn't found all the resolutions, but for about 20 years. That's what you've been doing. So that's the game we've been playing. Now, if you want to look at, and Aaron did this for me as well, if you want to look at what the state people get, they've got a pretty good deal, and that's why they did that back at the time as far as their percentages ranking. We went back to 2012. They didn't get anything in 2012, but in 2013 got 1.6, 14 they got 4.6, 15 they got 3.3, and so it's all the way down to the last few years. It's been about 5%. So when you talk about our county employees, normally right now you've got them on a 2% step. So in Cindy's case, in this case, she fares better there than she would on the other one, and that is why this actually exists. Now, I will tell you that with this, and I talk a little bit with Mike, and so if I talk out of tune, you let me know. This is what you've been doing for well over 20 years, or close to 20 years, and so if you change it, you'll probably need a resolution to change that. I would hate to see you go back, and especially for the people that were hired thinking this is what they were under, to take that away from you. But you have all that authority to do if you wanted to do so. But you asked me to find out how did we get where we got. Really started with probably the road commission making it for Mr. Lynch, and then they said, hey, if the second in command there is going to get it, then my second in command is going to get it too. And then probably the only thing really to consider, and I hate to even open up the can of worms, but probably everybody big that you have taken care of with this, the only one that you haven't done this with is probably your WEMA director, which handles a pretty big operation, and he's just on the regular stuff. So you may consider that sometime. We'll go back and do one more thing while I'm in the process here. You passed a resolution back in July of 2015 because we looked at it back when we started the pay plan and said, hey, look, the city of Lebanon commissioners are getting or getting $800 or $900, and you guys are getting $400, and nobody was really paying attention to what the county commissioners were getting. And we felt like, okay, we need to adjust that. So we did adjust that at that time. But then I think it's Commissioner Bush, brought up, how do we, without going and asking for your own salary raise, how do we do that? So that's one conversation said, well, just link the commissioner's pay increase to the state official as well. So we did that. And we went through that process and was going along pretty good. And we had a little hiccup, because if you go back and remember, maybe the school system or maybe the road commission, somebody had failed to do that for a few years, so we had to make that up. And before we did that, I said, hey, let's just ask the comptroller. So the comptroller looked at this and said, hey, here's the deal. Really, we changed the way commissioners get paid in 2020 and said it has to be one of three ways. And this is not one of those three ways. So we don't know if you're legal or not legal. We thought maybe we were going to be, okay, was we grandfathered? Are we grandfathered in? Mike was going to look into that at some point and maybe see about an attorney's general opinion. But we stopped the raises last year. Okay, so we haven't done that since the comptroller said, hey, not for sure where we're at, but this one doesn't comply with these three since you asked us this question. So I think Mike was going to look and see if the attorney general would say, hey, look, I think, because that also involves your school board members as well, because they were linked to the same raises. So that is that piece. I can answer any questions you need me to answer.
You did good.
On the research. Well,
You
I
did
didn't
really
really do it. Sarah, Lauren, Grand staff, and we still haven't found the actual resolution, but we know that it's according to the documentation we got.
Anytime he brings a stack of papers,
I'm scared.
he comes to my office, I just cringe.
So anyway, what I mean, if you want me to do more, I'll do more. If you said, hey, we're good to go, then good to go, tell me.
Couldn't they leave it like it is,
Yeah,
personally?
good to go.
You want me to continue to look for the resolutions?
No.
I don't see any reason
Okay.
for it unless somebody else does. And you've got enough data there to show that it's actually going on, so.
It's been going on for
Give
quite
it
some
to Mike,
time.
he'll
Just
hold
for
on to it.
clarification,
Yes, sir.
Ms. Lynch got what raise at budget time?
5%.
She got a 5%
She got
at
5%.
budget time,
Yes.
reoccurring 5% from now on.
Yes,
That's correct.
We granted a 2% to the county employees with a 3% bonus.
That is correct.
I'll take 5% yearly anytime.
Yes, sir.
I don't feel like we've done her wrong at all.
Absolutely not. I'm glad she brought it to our attention.
I got a question.
Yes, sir.
What about, he's talking about the director of WEMA. What do we need to do to look at him for that?
we've done, add him on the list.
Budget time.
Budget time?
And add him on the list.
Well, hold on a second, we just did something for the commissioner's office, why can't we just go ahead and? I'm being honest now, if it's within the
Well, he
budget, why
does have
can't we
a
just
tough
give him a
job,
break?
We need to look at,
That's
if that's
good.
possible.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, and I'm with you on the other part, on the other thing too, but I think budget time would be when you would consider that if that's what you choose to do so. And we try to look at it across the board, because we got stormwater director and different directors, but they're over a small number of people. This, the big ones, the one, and I think that was the deal with Steve Lynch, was that he was doing a ton of work, and that's why they wanted to compensate him on that part. He oversaw.
What do you want me for?
Aaron, you were grinning. and I was
Here's
just
my
like,
question, really
yeah.
quick.
I'll tell you when it's over, I'll tell you.
What about, all right, so the pay study that we're in the middle of,
Yeah.
why can't we have them to loop each and every one of these department heads into that and give us the value, or the market value of what it?
So we still do that. We do that already. We do that with Cindy Lynch and everybody else. We do that to see if they're on target there as far as the range of pay.
Sure.
What we're talking about is the percent of increase of the raise of salary.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. But we're doing that. And you'll get a budget letter. I'll give it to Mike and I'll give it to Aaron to look at a budget calendar that addresses also the dates of how we're gonna address the pay plan going forward. Okay, so it's in the process, so you'll have a timeline of that and hopefully it'll be done in time to go through our budget process.
Is there any other old business? Any new business?
Motion to adjourn.
Thank y'all.
Now, here's the.
Y'all be safe going home.